Hi, welcome to episode 133 of the Passionate Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schnüffeltier on Ravelry and Instagram. There's a Ravelry group for the podcast. Please come over and join for show notes and other fun things that are going on over there. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers. It makes me very happy to see the number climb up every week for a little bit, because if nobody watches, this is kind of, not going to happen anymore. So thank you all very much. So I'm not wearing any knitwear today because it's very warm. And yeah, it's what it is. It's summer. For knitting in the past, I do have two things. I finished the Penguino by Stephen West that I showed last week. This is the pattern. This is what it looks like. Penguino by Stephen West. And I changed a few things because this is a open front, very cool throw-on cardigan. And I have a very wild 4-year-old, so open front doesn't work. So what I did, I changed quite a few things. I made it longer and I made it long sleeves and I added buttons. It's basically what I changed. So here we go. Oh, the buttons aren't closed. Okay. So this is the front. This is it from the back. And the sleeves. So the sleeves until this point, basically here. So this is the original, how it's supposed to look. And I just lengthened the sleeves after I did all the shaping that you're supposed to do. And then finished them like written, with this very cool inserted strip down here. And I made those until I ran out of yarn, basically, and they ended up being perfect. So it's like it's meant to be. Ouch! Ow! I have my sewing project next to me and it has pins in it and I just stabbed myself in the ass. Ow. Okay, let's go back to the Penguino. So what I did to make it longer, until here, this is the original length. That's what it's supposed to be. But that was like tiny bit over halfway down my son's back. So I added 2 more welts down here in the same yarn that I used for the welts up here. And then just knit 20 more garter ridges and then finished off as written. The thing is, this is supposed to be very oversized, super cool style. And I decided, so when I decided on the size to knit, I went for the size that had the bust circumference that I wanted to have in the end. So, so that it would be more of a fitted jacket instead of, so then I had to lengthen it because it was too short. And I knew that from the get-go, so it wasn't a big deal. So that's how I lengthened the sleeves and the body. Then for the buttonholes, I made buttonholes. They're here. Here they are. There's 5 of them. So what I did, these stitches here were on a holder, so they were live stitches. So I couldn't just, stitch it while picking up, which I did for the first 3 buttonholes. I just didn't pick up 2 stitches and just cast on top. So I had to pick up the stitches and knit 2 rows, basically. I knit the first row where I did all the buttonholes, and I did these as knit 2 together, yarn over twice, SSK, to get them a bit bigger. Go away, fly. And these I just skipped 2 stitches with picking up. And then I just knit back the wrong side row to secure the buttonholes, and then I did the I-cord and all the short rows for the collar. So it was actually quite easy. Because of the construction of the cardigan, it's supposed to overlap in the front if it were to be closed. So the buttons are not on the edge, but a bit to the inside, which I don't mind. And I decided to go for these super cool fabric covered robot buttons. That one's a bit whoopee. Yeah. you crooked? I don't know. Here they are. They're very sweet. They're blue and it's robots. So I think this turned out amazing. I used up a lot of wool for it. I think I put it into my Ravelry and it's somewhere between 1,300 and 1,500 yards because its fingering weight held double throughout the whole thing, except for this yarn here that was a worsted weight. So lots and lots of yarn that went into this super sweet cardigan. And I'm super happy with it. Tim loves it. I put up pictures on Instagram and they are really sweet. So this is the Pinguino. It's cute. I'm gonna have to get going on my own Pinguino that I started like a million weeks ago. So I finished that while on vacation. And I did all the actual finishing work, you know, weaving in ends, attaching buttons and stuff like that when we were back home. So yeah, super quick project, really interesting to work because, you know, it changes direction all the time, so it doesn't get boring. So when I packed things to take with me for vacation knitting, I packed a pair of socks that I had started roughly a month before Tim was born, which was over 4 years ago. And I finished those. I'm going to show them to you and then I'm going to tell you why they lingered for 4 years. So here they are. These are the finished socks. They are the Paper Moon socks by Anne-Lena Mattisson. They are a free pattern in Knitty. And it was Knitty, what was it? Deep Fall 2011. It's a pair of toe-up socks. And that's where all my problems started. The yarn, I had 250-gram skeins that I convinced my mother to give to me because they would be way better suited in my stash. And they didn't come with a label, so I have no idea what it is. So now, the problems with these socks. The socks are made to fit my foot, and the sock blocker ends here. So, you know, there's quite a bit of sock left after the blocker ends. I did everything as the pattern says. And they ended up being 4 sizes too large. And that's the reason why I hate doing toe-up socks. I can never get those to fit. So, and you know, I've been knitting socks since I was 12 years old. Way over 300 pairs. And I do know that because I'm the kind of person who keeps notebooks for stuff like that. Because I'm weird. So in those 350 pairs or something, I knit 3 pairs of toe-up socks and 1 of them fit. I made one for my husband that was way too large and I think he threw out. I made one for myself that fits, where I didn't use any pattern and put in an afterthought heel, and that miraculously fits me very well. And these that have a real heel, it's a toe-up gusset heel, and 4 sizes too large. If I had done these to my actual size, I would have had to take out this much before starting the gusset, and that would have kind of left me with a sock with no foot. So yeah, that's the reason why these lingered for 4 years, because I really like them. I like the pattern, I like the look, I like all about these socks, but 4 sizes too big, despite me doing everything as the pattern says, which probably is just me being too stupid to do toe-up socks, but yeah, they don't fit. So these are a gift. Okay, I do need my sock blockers. So, knitting in the present. I have 2 things that I'm actively working on that I can show you. The first thing is another pair of socks. And it's another pair that's been lingering forever. And it is in my new project bag that I ordered, and that it is so amazing. I mean, you know, it's perfect. It's a cat. There's coffee. There's music or an audiobook happening, and there's a computer. So, you know, couldn't couldn't be more perfect for me. So in here is not only my tiny hand that I love, but I also have the socks. So the story with these socks, I designed them, which, you know, doesn't happen a lot around here anymore. I used to design quite a bit, and all of my patterns are for free up on Ravelry. And then I designed this sock. And you know, I hate knitting patterned socks. So what possessed me to design a pair of patterned socks is just, I don't understand this. But I did, and I finished the first one really quickly. And it looks like this from the side. And I was tempted to call these business up front, party in the back, because I'm gonna switch. Can I, no. How do I show you why these are called the way they are called? So I think this is gonna work. So the front of the sock looks like this. It's just a garter stitch with cables on the sides. And I finished this first sock in 2013. So I had the idea, I knitted up in 2013, and now 6 years later, I'm working on the second sock. And the other side looks like this. So this is the back of the sock. And it has a lot more pattern going on. More cables and, you know. So I will not write these up. I've decided to not put out a pattern for these because several reasons actually. First, I'm not a designer. And I said something like that before when I talked about the things that I have put out on Ravelry so far. And I'm actually thinking about taking all the patterns down because I'm not a designer. I'm a person who comes up with an idea every now and then and writes it down. That doesn't make me a designer. That makes me a person with an idea who writes it down. There's a big difference. So when I put up my patterns on Ravelry, I kind of, to be honest, don't want to deal with pattern support. So yeah, I think I will just take the patterns down because the pattern support thing, and you know, I'm just not made for that. It's not what I enjoy doing, and my camera is dying. Can you see? It's frozen for the third time now. Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking about taking a picture of the charts that I made, because there's a chart for the front, there's a chart for the back, and put those pictures up on my project page. So someone who wants to knit it can, using those charts, but there will not be a pattern, and therefore there will not be pattern support because I cannot deal with that. I don't want to, and I'm not good at things like this, so it's not going to happen. So I finally got to the second sock, and I finished the hard bit while I had a free weekend. There's red fuzz on here. So I had a free weekend. My husband and son went to my mother-in-law's house, and I got a free weekend, and I used that free weekend, or one of the days on this free weekend, to knit the second bit of the pattern, and or you know, the second leg of the pattern sock. So I'm working on the heel flap right now, and I just have to finish the sock with the garter stitching cable in the front, which is not hard to do, you know. So I'm gonna have these done, and yeah, I will put pictures of my charts up, but that's gonna be it. So if you're interested in knitting these, there will be a chart, there will be a number of stitches to cast on, and how to divide stitches, because that's also written on the page of my charts. But that is it. And like I said, for the other patterns that I have up on Ravelry, I'm considering taking them down because, yeah, I'm just not a designer. That's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. So I've compared it to being a singer before. And I'm going to tell you that again, because I think that's a very good comparison. I enjoy making things up every now and then, but I'm not a designer, because I also enjoy singing in my car. I'm not a singer. There's a very big difference between these things. So I just, yeah, I cannot do the things designers do, and I don't want to. So that's that. Now, the other thing that I started a sweater, and it's quite far along already. I started the super simple summer sweater by Hohi Locatelli. It's a pattern that she released like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I bought the pattern immediately, and I found yarn in my stash. I'm not sure if I talked. No, I do. Yes, I have talked about this last time, and I showed you my yarn choices. And now it's quite a bit of a sweater. And I'm going to show you the yarn again. So I'm knitting my sweater. If this is a sweater for a worsted weight cotton and wool blend. And I have decided to use fingering weight held double because that gives you a worsted weight. And do it not out of cotton, because a sweater in a worsted weight, I just am going to wear in winter because everything else is too warm for me. So I decided to use Zauberball because I have quite a bit of that. And the first color is this brown. It's different shades of brown. That's one of my colors. And the other color is these two held together. That's a green gradient and a bluish gray turquoise gradient. And my sweater looks like this. Now, here's the back. I have done a lot. I've finished the yoke, separated for the sleeves, and I am now working on the split hem down here. In the next row, I'm going to change to the ribbing pattern and to smaller needles. So I am very far along. And this is, I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect. I love the colors. I love how the blue and green work together. It doesn't really show. It's way more greenish than it shows up, but I'm just very happy with this. So happy with this. And it's yarn that I had in my stash. So it's perfect. The pattern is very easy, you know. It's not called super simple summer sweater just to find a cute name. It is super, super simple to knit. And yeah, I'm working on the hem right now. I have no idea how far I will get until next time, but I hope to have it done relatively soon. So that's what I'm working on. The only thing I can tell you about this sweater, apart from showing it, is that I went up a needle size, because this is a worsted weight, and the pattern calls for a 3.25, that's a US 3, and a US 6, a 4mm, for, you know, hems and sweater. I'm a very tight knitter, and when I knit worsted weight on a 4mm needle, that's gonna be kind of bulletproof. So I went up to a 3.75, no, a 3.5 for the hem and a 4.5 for the sweater itself. And I'm really happy with how this is working out. So yeah, because it's Zauberball, I think I will wear this a lot because it's machine washable. You know, I can just throw it in the washer and put it back on. So I'm very happy with that. That's my knitting in the present for right now. Knitting in the future, I want to get back to some UFOs. I want to finish socks that I have on the needles. Still, I have 2 more pairs of socks on the needles, and both of these have a pattern to them as well. That's why they have been lingering. And I also want to knit the Daydreamer by Andrea Mowry. And what I did for this, the pattern came out, I loved it, and I thought to myself, oh God, I need to have that. And then I, you know, took a step back and thought for a minute and decided to first have a look at my stash if I find yarn that would be suitable for it. Because if I don't have the yarn for it, I don't need to get the pattern, as I do not want to buy yarn. So I then went to my yarn room and I found perfect yarn. So I bought the pattern. So this is the pattern. It is a cabley bobbly wonderful sweater. And the yarn that I decided to use, because this is fingering weight held with mohair, or she says, or uses sport weight. And I decided to get a sport weight, which is this yarn here. And it's a cone from Hamburger Wollfabrik. And this has quite a lot of cashmere in it because it was very expensive. And I didn't realize that when I got it. I just saw the color, felt it, and thought, oh yeah, I like that. And then she told me what I had to pay in the end. And I was like, okay. So this is going to be a very good, very luscious sweater. And I look forward to using it because it should be enough, you know. It's a very nice color. I'm not sure if it's showing up on the camera, but it is a really, really nice, deep, warm red. And I'm gonna make it not as oversized as hers because I want to be able to wear this with a holly burn skirt that I have already cut out that has roses. It's a very weird fabric, but it has roses on it that has the exact same colors as my yarn. So I want this to be kind of a thing. So that's my plans. I want to start that soonish. And then next segment of my podcast, which hasn't featured in forever, is spinning. And I do have spinning. Yesterday, I didn't know what to do. We went outside in the garden and I didn't want to knit because it was so warm and, you know. So I took my spinning wheel out and I spun. So I'm going to show you a full bobbin of fiber, of spun stuff, which, you know, I didn't spin yesterday. This was like 90% done. I just finished the top layer, but I have a half finished bobbin on the wheel that I didn't bring because it's on the wheel. So here we go. This is it. And yes, I always leave the last bit super crooked and fuzzy so I can find it. So here we go. It's a combo spin. I'm using 6 or 7 different braids. They are all greenish purple with hints of black and brown in them. So this is the first bobbin, and this is spun relatively thick. I want this to be an Aran weight in the end. And I brought my wonderful fiber bag so I can show you. Just gonna grab a bit. So here you can see all the colors. It's greens and blues and purples and teals and browns and blacks. It's gorgeous. It's mainly VFL because, you know, 90% of the fiber in my house is VFL. There's a lot of Three Waters Farm in here, some Felt Studio UK, and I'm actually not sure if I kept the labels or if I just threw them out the other day, which is very possible because I have been in a cleaning my things up mood, so I think I kind of threw that out, but who cares? I finished the first bobbin. This is, like I said, a combo spin. If you do not know what a combo spin is, somewhere on this channel there is a video where I explain exactly what a combo spin is and show you how to do it. So if you're interested in that, just check it out. It's basically a way to blend different braids of fiber from different dyers into one cohesive yarn for a sweater. So yeah, I need, let's see. Okay, that's my spinning. I hope to get to this a bit more often because I'm pretty sure I started the first bobbin that has been lingering now for 2-3 years. I'm gonna say 3 years, not quite sure, very long time. But yeah, that's how things go. So for new stuff, I have my new project bag that I got from Wuthering Sheep. She has an online shop, not on Etsy. I'm not sure if I can show you. Yeah, it's the Wuthering Sheep. And she also has roly-poly bird bags that I really want to get the toucan, but I decided to get this one first because it's perfect. And I also have one skein of yarn that I got gifted from my friend Sandra from Kunterbunte Wolle. And it's this one. And I kind of, because, you know, I'm a bit crazy, I kind of want to knit a patterned sock with this. Yeah, I know. This is probably a bad idea, but my friend Sadie just released her new pattern, and it's the New Brunswick pattern. It's part of her Canadian Soul pattern collection, where she designs a pair of socks for all of the 13 territories in Canada. I hope I said that correctly. If not, sorry. But yeah, so the New Brunswick pattern is amazing, and I think that this speckled yarn would be perfect for it. So I'm not sure if I'm crazy enough to start another patterned pair of socks, because, you know, I hate knitting patterned socks, but I love Sadie, so maybe my love for Sadie will outweigh my hate for patterned socks. Now something just bit me, I think, which is weird because nothing ever bites me. No, it didn't. I just... never mind. Now, reading, listening, watching. I've done a lot of reading again because I was on vacation. So I finished 2 books, and I started 2. I have 2 books done. No, what? I finished 2 books on my Kindle. So I, like always, took a screenshot of the cover off of Goodreads so I can show it to you. So I finished A Puzzle in Paxton Park, which is the 3rd book in the Paxton Park Cozy Mystery series. And then, where is it? I've also read Payback in Paxton Park. And then, after I had finished that, I immediately started A Problem in Paxton Park, which is the 5th and so far last book in the series. And these Paxton Park books are super short. They're like under 150 pages each, which is a nice in-between read, but it also, I think they would have benefited from being like 50 pages longer at least. Because sometimes the story is just, it feels rushed a lot. You know, there's books that will benefit from having 200 pages taken out. And then there's other books that would benefit from just being a bit longer, you know, and being more detailed. And that's definitely the thing with these Paxton Park books. They are written by J.A. Whiting. And he or she, no, don't know. There are a lot of book series that this person has written. And, you know, I do like the story and I do like how things work together. But I think it would have been better to just make them a bit longer, you know, explain things more thoroughly, have more backstory. So yeah, I kind of would wish that was the case, but it's not. So that's okay as well. And when we got home, I've started another book that I kind of felt the early weeks now, and I just did. And that is the this book here. I'm reading the German version. It's Der Ruf des Kuckucks by Robert Galbraith, which is a pseudonym for J.K. Rowling. And the English title is The Cuckoo's Calling. It's the first book in the Cormoran Strike mystery series. Not cozy. Nothing cozy about those. But I do love a good English mystery series. So I am this far in the book. I like it. I really do. So this I'm on page 138, which is basically a completed Paxton Park book. And so far, not a whole lot has happened. And I like that. I just kind of like that. I really do like J.K. Rowling's writing style. And, you know, she's very wordy. She uses a lot of words to describe stuff. And I kind of like that. So yeah, it's the first book in the Cormoran Strike series. And I do have books 2 and 3. I don't have the last one, but I mean, that's a big book. And I do have other things to read, so I will not run out easily. So those are the things I'm reading. For listening, I still am listening to the, I'm going to show you the things again. I'm still listening to the Charlie Rhodes Cozy Mystery Series by Amanda M. Lee, because those are some of my favorite books. And while I was on vacation, I finished the third book, which is The Werewolf Whoops. I also finished the fourth book, which is The Megalodon Mix-Up. And I am currently listening to The Undead Uproar, which is book number 5. And yes, I listened to those back to back. I finished the first run through all 5 books and started at book 1 again because I just wanted to. And I really do like these books. And also, I'm a bit weird when it comes to books. So there we go. So that's it for listening. For watching, I have watched stuff. I haven't watched stuff in forever. So when we came home from vacation, we had one little parcel waiting for us, and that contained this movie. And it is Captain Marvel. It was just released on DVD, and we hadn't seen it before because we can only watch the Marvel movies when they come out on DVD, because we watch everything that we watch in English, and none of the cinemas around us do English screenings of these movies, which sucks. So we watched Captain Marvel and we really liked it. It was a nice one. You know, it's not my favorite out of the Marvel movies, but it was a good one. So yeah, was okay. And then I had my free weekend and I decided on Friday evening, my husband and son left on Friday evening, and I decided, you know what? Tomorrow is going to be a sewing day. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to sew all day long. And I took out patterns and I took out fabric and I prepared all the things that I wanted to do. And then I got up on Sunday morning and I was like, you know, I really don't want to sew. So I didn't. Instead, I knit. I knit the sock, the green one, and I started the super simple summer sweater. So when I decided that it's going to be a knitting day, I also needed something to watch. And I think I didn't even go on Netflix or Amazon Prime. I walked up to my big cupboard in the living room over there and took out a DVD box and decided to watch that because I love that. And that is Leverage. It's a series that was put out, I think, from 2007 to 2012, something like that. And it's an amazing series. And now my nose is itchy. I think I have fiber in my nose. So, Leverage. A wonderful, wonderful series about a bunch of bad guys doing kind of a Robin Hood thing. So he is the mastermind behind everything. He's a hacker. She's a grifter. He's a hitter. And she's where is she? Where is she? Here she is. She's the thief. And they kind of work together to help people where the law can't help anymore. I think that makes sense. And I love this show. It's a fun, smart show, and I love it. Not only because he's in it, you know, but it's a good show. You should watch it. And the first season has 13 episodes, I think. What does it say? Yeah, 13 episodes. And I started that on Saturday morning after I decided that it's going to be a knitting day. And I finished it on Saturday because I didn't do anything else. And then Sunday rolled around. I talked to my husband in the morning and he told me that they wouldn't be home until evening. So I got out season 2, which has like 15 episodes, and watched 12 of those, and the last DVD with the last 3 episodes I watched with my husband in the evening because he loves Leverage as well, and we have seen the whole series before. You know, we know everything that happens, but it's been such a long time that I kind of forget how things work together. And yeah, it's just such a fun show, and also, you know, very good reason. Now, sewing. I do have sewing. Well, not actual sewing. I have to be sewn project. sometime this week, I decided to finally go ahead with my sewing idea, and I cut these shorts. This pattern came with the Sew Now magazine, and it looks like this. It's a pair of pants. It's McCall's M7726, and I did cut out view A, which is the shorts. And these shorts are very short because, as you can see, they go up over the actual waist because the belt is in her waist, and they extend over that, which, you know, the shorts also do. And then when you measure, I measured down from the supposedly finished length, and it was not even mid-thigh. And that's not a good look for me because, you know, the upper half of my thighs is a bit chunkier than I would like. So I definitely want to cover that bit. So I lengthened the pattern by 7 inches, I think. And yeah, I decided that if it's way too long, I can make a folded hem or, you know, a folded cuff. That would look probably quite nice. And otherwise I can just cut off stuff. But yeah, too short, not good. So then I looked at the pattern measurements, and I decided to go for a mix of sizes. I did a size large for the waist, and then I extended it out to an extra large because I need some room for my hips. And this is the fabric that I'm going to use. It's this blue fabric, and my husband bought this for me when he was in America for work trip, and I was barely able to squeeze it out. I took a picture. I'm going to show you the picture because of me lengthening the pattern pieces by 7 inches each, and I had 2 yards of fabric, and the pattern calls for 2 yards of fabric. So, you know, yeah, that got kind of tight. So here's the picture that I had taken after. So I had to put the pocket piece also where, you know, the purple arrow points, did cut the pocket piece out of this, and I have fabric left from that little strip that is encased in the green lines that I'm going to use to make belt loops, because it's supposed to be worn with a belt because it goes up so high, but the shorts doesn't it, you know, there's no belt loops in that, which I don't really understand. So I have enough fabric to make belt loops, and I will make belt loops and attach them just according to the patterns, because why not make belt loops when you make a pair of pants that's supposed to be worn with a belt? So yeah, this is the fabric that I'm using, and I really do like it. My husband bought it for me, and I have been waiting for the perfect pattern to roll around, because this is a kind of blue that I can't really wear up at my face. And I didn't want to use this for a button down because I think that, or a blouse, because I think it would just, you know, be a bit too blue. I don't know if that makes sense, but it does make sense to me. So I'm going to make those shorts, and I think it's going to be perfect as shorts. So that's that. Now, try not to stab yourself in the butt again, Tracy. Yeah, that's the sewing. Now, the church bells are going crazy. I'm not sure if you can hear. Okay, everything else. Their next VKN is on the 17th of August on at 9 p.m. GMT +1. And I will hopefully be able to podcast before that so I can remind you. Next thing, summer book club. That's a funny thing, a funny point, because I'm not going to read this book. And Sadie, who is doing the summer book club with me, decided to not finish her version either because she's just not interested in it. Doesn't, you know. So this is the book we were supposed to read. This is The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. I have read nothing but good things about this book still, but I cannot get into it. This is where I am. Can you see? Here. That's the front of the book. I cannot get over it. it doesn't interest me at all. I'm on page 16 of this book. So I think there's one person who finished it, and that is Trish. So Trish, you are the champion. I don't know how you did it, but yeah, I cannot read this book. I'm going to get rid of it because I just don't want to read it. It doesn't interest me at all, and the writing style is so hard to get into. So it's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, if you bought the book because I told you to get into the book club and you didn't like it, I'm sorry. I did not know. So that's the book club. I think that's the first and last foray into the book club thing for me because, yeah, could not have gone any worse. Now, last point, mental health and other stuff. And it's not about mental health this time. It's about Rhinebeck, actually. I was looking into going to Rhinebeck this year. My husband and I, we looked into it, and he said, you know, you could go alone, which I didn't want to do because, you know, I'm awkward and afraid most of the time and very introverted and just shy. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't, yeah, it's not going to happen. So going with the whole family is very expensive because, you know, we don't need just one ticket to go over to America. We need 3, and then we need all the other things, you know, car and whatever. So we were looking into going over, and then we stopped, thought about things, and decided not to go to Rhinebeck for 2 reasons. First of all, I have so much stuff that I do not need anything. And going to Rhinebeck and not buying a whole lot of yarn is just, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. If over, I will come back with a suitcase full of stuff that I do not need. I just really do not need any yarn ever again, probably. So that's the first reason why we're not going to just not get stuff just to get it, because I don't need stuff. And also to save the money, because ever since I was 16, which is like 20 years ago almost, I wanted to go to New Zealand. And we are saving up for that trip. And we want to do that next year because we need to go in winter, you know, our winter time. So it's spring or summer there. And the only winter we have left to do that before Tim goes to school is next winter. Not this one, next year, 2020. So we're saving all of our frequent flyer miles and the money that I would have spent on yarn in Rhinebeck to do a trip to New Zealand next year, because as soon as Tim starts school, it's not going to be doable, because, you know, if I fly to New Zealand, I want to go there for more than like 10 days. And when Tim starts school, we only can go into winter break, which is 2 weeks, and we do need a bit of time to get there because, you know, it's literally at the other end of the world. So yeah, it's going to be next year or not at all. And to be honest, I'd rather not go to Rhinebeck when I know that I can be in New Zealand next year because of it. Probably, hopefully. I hope it's going to happen because, you know, I've dreamt about this for a long time now. So yeah, I will not go to Rhinebeck because it just doesn't make any sense. I would love to. I will probably sometime in the future go to Rhinebeck, maybe when Tim's a bit older and my husband and I would just go alone, you know, and Tim can stay home with grandma or whatever. Yeah, it is dying, my camera. It froze again 4 times in 40 minutes. That's not good. It served me since the beginning of this podcast, and it was not super expensive. So maybe it's time to get a new one. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, that is it. I am being more conscious about my buying and about spending money on things that I actually don't need, you know. that's also the reason why I decided to only get the pattern when I had the yarn for it, because I have bought so many patterns on Ravelry. I looked through, and on average, I buy a pattern a week. And out of the, I don't know how many patterns I bought, I've knit less than a quarter, which is, you know, just stupid. It's stupid. It does not make sense. And it's, you know, I'm very obsessive. And I also had a job that paid very well. So I used all of my money to buy all the things I wanted. I bought fiber and yarn and books and DVDs and just everything. And I just kind of don't, I want to get to a point where I appreciate what I have, you know, and not just chase something new all the time. Because when I bought all of those things, I was here in a place where we just had moved. I didn't know anyone. I was a student teacher, so I had to work my butt off and still was, you know, kind of insignificant to anyone, to everyone. And my husband was gone a lot, so I was alone most of the time, where in a place where I didn't know anybody. So I spent my money that I got from my student teaching on yarn and fiber to, you know, make myself happy when I receive a box in the mail. So doing that over a long time left me with a gigantic stash of stuff, patterns and, you know, knitting books and fiber and yarn, fabric. When I got into sewing, I got so much fabric. I have so many DVDs, mainly, you know, box sets of series, because I'm not that much of a movie girl. I enjoy several movie franchises, but I'm not, you know, standalone movies just don't interest me. But TV series I've always loved. So I have a whole cupboard full of them, and there's a lot of them in there that I have not watched yet, because I just bought them to have them, to get that rush and, you know, that happiness of getting something new. But I think it's time to just use the things that I have and just be more conscious, you know, not spend money on shit I don't need. And yesterday and the day before, my husband and I, we were putting up shelves, one in the basement where I can put my overflowing stuff in, and one upstairs for all the books that we bought, or I bought mainly in the last 2 years, that were stacked from the bottom, you know, in my reading room, because all the shelves in there were full. And I filled those shelves yesterday with all the books that were laying around. And while doing that, I had so many books in my hands that I bought years and years ago and have not read, because up until this year, I didn't read a whole lot. You know, I've always loved books and I loved having them, but I kind of didn't read all that much. So I just want to be more conscious. I don't think that there is a different way to say it, but it doesn't make sense to get more and more and more things and just not appreciate what you already have. And I feel like that is what I have been doing for a very long time now. And I want this to stop. I want to appreciate what I have. I want to use the things that I own and just stop chasing new things and stop chasing the feeling of joy that I get from getting new things in the mail, because it doesn't last, you know. If I can instead find the joy in the things that I have and in using things that I own, I think that will be a very much, what? That sentence doesn't start out correctly. It's not gonna end well. I think that will be a more lasting feeling. Does that make sense? I hope it does. It does in my head. So, you know, if you got that, you understand what it's in my head. And now I'm going to stop talking because this is going to be a very long episode anyways. And if I ramble on, it's going to be even longer. So I'm going to stop rambling. I hope you all have a wonderful time. I will talk to you again, not next week for sure. Hopefully the week after. And until then, I hope you enjoy everything you do, and I hope to see you then. Bye.